The Washington football team has released Dwayne Haskins, the man who started yesterday with a chance to win the team's first NFC East title since 2015, and then was promptly benched for Taylor Heineke. Dwayne Haskins, the local kid who was drafted 15th overall last year, has been released. Here's the statement from the Washington football team, from Ron Rivera. This afternoon, I met with Dwayne and informed him that we would be releasing him. I told him I believe it benefits both parties and we go our separate ways. We want to thank Dwayne for his contributions and wish him well. The 15th overall pick last year, the man who was supposed to turn around your franchise. We would like to thank Dwayne for his contributions. Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero broke this news. Ian, those contributions will be elsewhere. Wow.
Yeah, a big move for the Washington football team this morning. I would say not the most surprising news of all time that they informed Dwayne Haskins they would be waiving him before the final game of the season, but obviously substantial news for Haskins and for the organization. My understanding, there wasn't one event that led to this release of Haskins, wasn't one event that led the Washington football team to say to their former first-round pick, a player they thought was going to be their franchise quarterback, that it simply was not working. It was an accumulation of things. You go back earlier in the season, originally he was benched. That was not good. Then, of course, he worked his way back up, was inactive for a little bit, then was the backup, and now, based on injuries, was the starter again. Then they benched him again this past game, and then there was the snafu post-game about whether he was supposed to or was not supposed to meet with media. None of this was good, Tom, and, of course, he was going to be inactive for the final game. Ron Rivera deciding, you know what, make the decision now, part ways, end this thing. Dwayne Haskins officially goes on waivers today at 4 p.m.
Ian, the Dwayne Haskins era is probably going to be remembered in Washington for getting demoted twice to third string within a single season, as well as getting fined twice for violating COVID protocols, including with the stripper party a week or so ago. But you're still talking about a 23-year-old quarterback who was the number 15 overall pick 20 months ago. There are reasons for that. Dwayne Haskins is a talented quarterback, and now the other 31 teams have a very interesting evaluation going into Week 17 on Haskins. Remember, he is not a vested veteran. We're also after the trade deadline, which means every player who's cut must go through waivers. If a team is willing to bet on Haskins, thinking that they can turn him around, unlock his potential, they would owe him what is left on his contract, which is 2 years and about $4.2 million fully guaranteed, plus his final game check for this season. You also would pick up a fifth-year option, have that potential if you are able to get something out of him next year. It's a lot of questions here. It's a huge projection. Teams are going to have to do digging, not just on Haskins, the football player, and the tape, but all the circumstances leading to him getting cut today. But again, a talented guy that a lot of teams thought was a first-round draft pick a year ago, suddenly available to the other 31 teams at a time that guys like that normally don't just hit the street.
Again, with 1 week to go here to put in waiver claims, and we know who's picking at the top of the draft. Those are quarterback-needy teams potentially here. Obviously, there are some exceptions. The Dolphins have Tua. They also have Houston's first-round pick, which right now is top 5, but the Dolphins wouldn't be in a waiver claim position here. There are other teams ahead of them. You know, I said yesterday when Haskins got benched on my other show, I said this could be the end of an error, E-R-R-O-R. It is the end of the Dwayne Haskins era here. What confuses me is if it was so bad that you're going to release him today. And like you said, not exactly a surprise. How desperate were you that you felt you had to play him last week? I mean, there are a lot of people that thought, just cut him last week, but they rolled him out there on Sunday trying to win the division.
Yeah. The answer is very simple. The Washington football team and Ron Rivera and the offensive staff as well thought Dwayne Haskins was the best option to win that football game at that time. He was the backup quarterback, and of course, remember, Kyle Allen is injured, so he is not there. They thought Dwayne Haskins was the best option to win them a football game. When all this, of course, all this is accumulating. Yesterday, him being benched is part of it. The week involving the stripper party, part of it. The snafu thing last night with the media, part of it. When all of that together, was for a quarterback that now was going to be inactive for Sunday, and Haskins was going to be inactive for Sunday, then why would you not cut him? That's really the difference. 1 week he was going to play because they needed him to play. This coming week he is not going to play, so thus part ways with him, and both sides can now start new.
And Ian, think about this. For all that we've been talking about with the Washington football team and this ongoing quarterback situation, the entire season, they still have the opportunity in game 256 on Sunday night to beat the Eagles and win the NFC East. At that time, their quarterback depth chart would include Alex Smith, who did more work toward the last part of last week. He had an opportunity to play on Sunday. The calf strain just hadn't come around as much, but certainly sounds like they are optimistic he's going to be able to play. If Smith can't go, the number 2 would be Taylor Heineke, who was taking online math classes at Old Dominion a few weeks ago before they brought him in as the quarantine QB. And your only other quarterback is Steven Montez, who's an undrafted rookie who's on the practice squad. Ron Rivera, Scott Turner, and that coaching staff have had to work through a lot just to have the opportunity to get to this point. And yes, you'd be getting in as a 7-9 team. Yes, you're getting in winning maybe the worst division that we've seen in the past decade in the NFL. But for a first-year program, for all the challenges that every coach had without an offseason, with the COVID-19 rules, with trying to teach new schemes and install a culture, just to be at this point is something special. And it got to a point where having Dwayne Haskins around was not something that benefited the team, to Ron Rivera's point. And frankly, it probably was not benefiting Dwayne Haskins to once again have to go into that building as the third-string quarterback. And there are a lot of people who believe Haskins will be better off getting away from home, being in a new environment, and starting fresh here.
I said this last week. All my interactions with Dwayne Haskins have been positive. I like the kid, and I say kid, I don't use that word often, but he's acted like one this year. So I do wish him well, and I do think the future could be better and hopefully brighter somewhere. But Washington might have won the division if it started Taylor Heineke yesterday. I'm not afraid to say that. He made some plays in the second half. He knew the system. He had started, granted only one game in the NFL. I think he could have done this last week, and we wouldn't be sitting here having this, what does Washington have to do to get in conversation week 17. It's all speculative. Either way, we have plenty more in this story.
What fun would Sunday be? What fun would Sunday be?
You know what?
Andrew?
That's right. It's all for the fun. It's all for the fun. And here's the last note on this as I blow up the rundown. From Adrian in Research, Washington has drafted, Dwayne Haskins being the 12th, 12 first-round quarterbacks. 12. Only one has a winning record with the franchise. That quarterback retired in 1952. Hall of Famer Sammy Baugh. Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, breaking the news today